Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and today we're talking about how to really drastically and dramatically let go of fears, worries, and almost like you could technically do this for a phobia, but I'm going to give you some tips on how I would let go of this. And I am really good at it because it is something that I've done for the last 22 or so years. And I was even invited on a England TV show to let go of all these different fears, or phobias specifically, from snakes, tarantulas. There's one for the dog. Who can be fearful of dogs? But I'm going to do a hypnosis session on that in the future. And also snake and rat. And I let them go in a very short period of time. I had literally had like 5-10 minutes per person. Now, of course, I can't be there with you in person to do that, but I can give you some ideas and some tips on what I would do if I had a fear or phobia. So let's get into the first one, and then on the next episode I'll give you another one, and then probably on the next one I'll give you another episode. So you can start to do this one first, practice, utilize it, and then in the next episode you'll be able to use a new process. So that's how we're going to be doing it today. So first of all, let's get the foundational aspect in. A fear or even a phobia, there's a difference. So a phobia is an extreme irrational response to something, and a fear is a lesser so version of that. So you may have a fear of presentations, you may have a phobia of presentations where you really like freak out just at the thought of it. Even to the point, if some people have extreme irrational phobias, they looking at a picture of, say, a spider would cause and evoke that reaction for a phobia, even though they know the spider is not actually there, it's on a piece of paper. So there are some variations, and you will know what you experience by how much you really feel and associate to that. Like, and I've worked with lots of weird ones. One was someone had almost a phobic reaction to eating bananas. Like, they just could not have a banana. And I was on teaching but it was a weird scenario, because I was teaching people how to communicate effectively in the credit field. So I was in England, maybe go there. They found out I was a hypnotist as well. And someone said, I've got a phobia of bananas. And we let that go within 5 to 10 minutes or so, and tested it, because we're in a hotel. So they went to the dining area and just picked up some of the fruit, in this case the banana, and he was able to eat it, where he would have had a real physical, just talking about it, he had this real physical reaction just thinking about it, and then he was able to do so. So I know exactly what has to happen to let go of fears and phobias. You've just got to apply it in these different ways. But first of all, number one, realize your unconscious mind is running the fear or phobia for the intention of protection, and safety. So, as I always say, don't hate the phobia, because you're almost hating the part of you which is running it, or don't hate the fear. It's not about running away from it. It's about reconnecting with your best friend, the unconscious mind. So start off with that foundational skill set of thinking about your unconscious mind in a good way, and therefore it's going to want to change for you. So that's the number one thing. So if I were to do a non-hypnosis technique with you right here and right now, this is what I'd do. I'd practice this in the most wonderful way over and over and over again. You can do this probably up to 50 times in about 5 or 10 minutes, right? You can do it that much, and the more you do it, more you practice, the easier it's going to be. So if we think of a phobia or a fear, you are locked into that experience. You are fully associated because you are feeling those feelings. So one of the kind of techniques that I do is a level of dissociation. Because if we're, say you had a fear of, say, driving, if you think about that fear, the chances are you're fully associated and you're distorting the inner experience as just thinking about it. So maybe you can't see much out of the window screen, or you feel very like everything, all the energy is going toward you, very locked in and associated. So the first thing to do, no matter what fear you experience, is to dissociate. And what I mean by dissociation is zooming outside of that scenario and observing a you. Okay, so the first one is associated, so you're in the experience, fully feeling the feelings. And what I want you to do is just imagine the fear that you have, but now stepping outside of yourself and observing that you. When you do that, you are taking away that fearful energy, that emotion there, because simply by observing yourself, you cannot feel as much of those feelings. For some of you, you will have zero negative feelings simply by retraining the mind to be the observer and not the subjective experience. The next thing you have to do is you got to think about maybe the trigger that you have when you have a fear. Like, simple question, how do you know when it's time to be fearful? It could be the thought of it, it could be 5 minutes before the experience, it could be a certain trigger of some sort, but just consider how you know when it's time to have that fear. And then what I want you to do in that zoomed out experience, and this will be like for a future scenario, is before that trigger happens, maybe 5 minutes, that's when you start this process. So what I want you to do in your mind is 5 minutes before you would have that fear, and for some people, by the way, if it's say like a presentation, you may have that fear weeks before the actual date of the presentation. So it really depends on how you experience the fear and what the fear is. Some people can be a minute before, some people it could be weeks before. But whatever you choose or decide upon, consider being before the event. So when everything is fine. Because if you do this process when you're feeling it, it's harder because you're already thinking about the issue. So you got to do it before. It could be a moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before. Like I said, you get to choose. You'll know that because I'm not with you. And then what I want you to do is see that you go throughout that scenario the way that you would like to be. You could backtrack and just consider, well, what feelings do I need, or what resources do I need, or what beliefs do I need, or what actions do I need? You could do that first and send them down to that you. But whatever it is, you have to focus on how you want to be. You are doing the reverse of a phobia. You're doing the reverse of the anxiety, because anxiety is focusing on all the things you don't want. Same thing with fear. So this time we're focusing on exactly how you want to be in that scenario. So you visually rehearse to the best of your ability. You don't have to see it in crystal clear clarity. You will have a sense of audio, visual, kinesthetic, maybe some smells and tastes and all those things. But to the best of your ability, before the event happens, you observe that you going through that scenario exactly how you would like to be, and going through it to the successful completion. That is really important because we've got to finish the experience. Otherwise, we stop halfway through and then we may feel those feelings again. And we don't need to do that. We just want to go to the successful completion of that event. For some people, that could be an hour, just like the one before the trigger. For some people, it might be a week after. It could be anything. You will only know that. And then as you observe that you go, and as an example, let me backtrack. If you're driving somewhere and you had a fear of driving, well, maybe the journey you're thinking of taking may be 20 minutes. Some people it could be across the country. So you can really decide on that context for you. But you have to observe that you going through the successful completion of that situation. Once you've done the successful completion of that, you may notice maybe what you feel. I'm going to guess pretty good, right? You've done it because it's a success. If you're still feeling fear and anxiety, the cue for me is you didn't visualize the successful completion throughout the whole journey, because you can't have anxiety or fear if you successfully achieved that experience. So once you've done that, feeling good, you then step inside that you having had the successful experience, and then what you do is very interesting. You make it black and white. So you're fully associated, looking for your eyes, make it black and white, and then go backwards in time, almost like you're rewinding the experience. Like imagine if like you're rewinding a movie, but you're looking through your own eyes all the way into the beginning of that trigger. So when everything was fun, then having done that, you go ahead and do the exact same thing. You step outside of yourself and then it'll become the observer, and then notice how that you can go through before the event ever happened, observe yourself in color once again, doing the whole experience perfectly, exactly how you'd like to be, even better than before maybe, to the successful, I hit my mic there, the successful completion. Once you've done that, what do? Well, successful completion, we step inside that you, and you make it black and white, and then you rewind it real quick, like super rewind all the way back, looking through your own eyes in black and white, freeze the screen or the experience, step outside of you, and then guess what? You go ahead and do the same thing again. I told you it's repetitive, but this works. You are pre-teaching your unconscious mind exactly the new process of dissociation, the successful completion, and then the reassociation without failings, because it's black and white and you've had the successful experience real quick. You're literally reprogramming your brain to have a new way of being in that experience. And as I said, you can do exactly what I said 50 times in about 10 minutes. Even if it was a long journey, you just kind of move forward in that journey that bit quicker. You can spend maybe in the beginning 5 minutes of just practicing, but each time you get better and better and better and better and better. If you do that for a series of, like I said, up to 50 times, and look, at the end of the day, even if that 50 times took you 30 minutes and it dramatically reduced all anxiety and fear or the phobia in a crazy cool way, investment of that time is really important. And there's one more thing you can do. Let's just say you had a specific phobia. Say, for example, you had a phobia of a mouse or anything like that. One thing you can do on that first aspect, or not the first, but the part of the process, which is being the observer, so where you're dissociated. Let's just say there was a mouse there. What you could do is soften that experience by making it a little bit humorous. So let's just say if it were to be a mouse, you could then maybe make the mouse have a little top hat on. You can have the mouse have some little funny voice. It could be literally anything, but the more you start to make it more playful, if you have a specific fear like that, you can actually change the association. So you could make the mouse like with a nice little top hat, the coat and tails, wearing some glasses, maybe change the color of the hair. You can make the mouse smaller. You can just kind of really mix it up, have some little funny music in the background as you're observing yourself. What that does for some fears is it just reassociates that you don't need to have that level, and it can be quite a fun experience. One little disclaimer here though. Let's say, for example, it was a phobia of, say, let's go extreme. Let's say it was a phobia of sharks, right? And you made that shark have a little top hat on, a little kind of waistcoat. Now, of course, you don't want to be like, oh, that's all fun. I'm going to go into the ocean and start petting some sharks. So there's got to be a level of, like kind of safety here, but you can just start to make that own judgment for yourself, right? It just allows you to go and mix it up a little bit. So go ahead and add that into the process, and then you can keep on repeating. So go ahead and practice that, and you will notice a huge change. Now, the other thing that you should absolutely go and do is download my free hypnosis app. www.freehypnosis.app, because the chances are there's going to be a hypnosis session around your fear that you're experiencing. Even if you listen just to the anxiety hypnosis session, it's going to be doing a deeper level of work. And that means you have the hypnosis, and you also have what you're doing in this conscious visual rehearsal. It just works on that conscious visual rehearsal. They've done tons of studies, not with that process. I think there's far more advanced than the studies, but listen to the hypnosis sessions as well within the app, and you're really going to make the changes you want. And watch out for this next episode I'll be putting out, because I'm going to give you another process. And if you enjoy my work, please leave a review and share, because that's the only way we get to grow together and help more and more people. I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.